I'm delighted to welcome you to our webinar today. My name is Olivia. I am the Chief Education Officer at Kianda Foundation. And I'm delighted to welcome you to this webinar, The Untold Story of How 800 Kenyan Women Transformed Their Lives. And today we are here to celebrate the learning from this 3-year project, the Mwangaza project, which ended a year ago. And Mwangaza means light in Swahili. The project was funded by a Swiss family foundation to whom we're immensely grateful for their visionary approach to funding this new and innovative project. The project empowered 800 women living in Nairobi and on its outskirts. And today we will focus on sharing learning from the Business Skills Programme, where 600 women were enrolled, and our evaluation showed that all of them improved their living conditions and 80% of them were able to start or expand their businesses. So for those who don't know, Kianda Foundation is a UK-based charity, and our work aims to lift women and girls out of poverty through quality education. And we work with locally women-led organisations to achieve this. And so Mwangaza was a collaboration with Kianda Foundation, a local NGO based in Kenya. And today we are going to share learning on how together we increase the impact of Kianda's already long existing 2 decades old business skills programme for women. And together we introduced evidence-based mentoring and later counselling into this project that was already effective, but we've all seen has become more effective through this work together. And from Kianda's perspective, we have already started sharing that learning with our other partner organisations in different countries. So, for example, we have introduced a business skills programme in the Ivory Coast, training women living in cocoa communities. We've introduced evidence-based mentoring in our projects across the world, including in Guatemala or in the Philippines, adapting it to their realities. And we are working to incorporate mental health awareness and training across all of our projects. But who is better to tell you about this project, the learning from it, than the project's team and participants? So I would like to welcome 2 of the project's graduates, Cecilia, who is now an entrepreneur. She is now an employer. Cecilia, hello. You're on mute. Hi, Cecilia.
Hi.
Wonderful. Elizabeth, an entrepreneur, elected a mentor in this project, and now a trained counsellor. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi.
And we have Kianda's East African projects lead, Dr. Evelyn Turen, who worked to introduce the mentoring into this project, and also to develop strong monitoring and evaluation. Hi, Turen.
Hello, Olivia.
And of course, Susan Kinua, who founded the Kianda Business Women's Skills Programme 2 decades ago, lifting up thousands of women and their families since then, and who continues to take learning from this Mwangaza project into where the project has been introduced in new villages in 2025. Welcome, Susan.
Hi, everybody.
Super, welcome. And before we start, to all of those of you who are joining us, if you have questions, they're very welcome. We'll have a Q&A at the end. Please drop a question in the Q&A as we go. And we hope to be able to give you really good answers at the end if we haven't answered the questions by then. So, Susan, as the project's founder, the Business Skills Programme's founder, you saw a need for a project to uplift women in these communities outside of Nairobi 2 decades ago. Can you tell us a bit about why this programme was so necessary and is still so important, please?
Yeah, so when it comes to business training, as I always say, when one wants to become a teacher, you go to teacher training college. But when one wants to start a business, many times they just start and they don't have the skills. it's more difficult for the target group to get a proper training because it costs a lot of money to have the training. In addition, the women would need to come to, let's say, Kianda Foundation or go to a business school, and they're the same ones taking care of their children, their families, social life, and the like. So it was very necessary to do it because we go to where these women are and give them the business skills so that they run their businesses professionally and with the right skills. Many have no financial literacy. So this is the first time they are hearing about savings, properly investing, and running their businesses in a professional way.
Thank you, Susan. And of course, you have seen these villages and the reality that people are living in change a lot in the last 2 decades because Nairobi has changed a lot. So can you tell us a little bit about what you have seen?
Yeah. So what I would say is that, for example, Cecilia and Elizabeth will tell you their own personal experiences, but people who did the project like in 2003, we are still in touch with some, and they're able to take care of themselves, earn a living, take care of their children. I forgot to mention that in this training, we also have the catering skills, and now we've added the counseling skills since Mwangaza started in 2021. So these women, you can see, literally have been lifted out of poverty. Now they're in charge of their lives. They improve their own lives and those of their families. So I say we worked with over 4,000 women so far. So those are thousands of people benefiting directly because each woman has maybe direct relatives, her own children and her husband, or those who have husbands. About, you multiply by 6 people, you find that's a huge number. Additionally, the villages, you can see the improvement. Life has changed. There's a better, what can I say? The standards of living have really improved in those areas where we have worked consistently over the years.
Yeah, and I think they've changed a lot in terms of the people who are living there. And Susan, can you give us an insight into the occupations, the work that women are typically doing when they start the project, just so that we can understand the type of the profile of the women that you are joining your project?
Yes. So many of them are casual laborers. They go to people's homes to wash clothes by hand because not many people can afford a washing machine. So they wash the clothes, or they go and they dig using the djembe, the hoe, or the panga to do casual work. Those kind of casual laborers. Then others doing very small businesses, selling vegetables, but not keeping any business records. Some of the women have not gone to school, or if they've gone to school, they've a very low level of education. So the literacy levels are quite low. I remember one time before we started the cookery classes and teaching nutrition and hygiene, I asked one of the ladies what they understood by balanced diet. They told me it's when you put 1 kilo of rice and 1 kilo of potatoes, then now that is a balanced diet. So then you realize there are some things which we take for granted that people should know, but just to give you an idea of the level. Another lady, when we were speaking a lot about keeping business records, she said, I can't read or write, but what can I do? So another one told her, what I do, I can neither read or write. So I have an apron with 3 pockets. In one, I put a cabbage, the other one a carrot, the other one a potato, all the money from the cabbages in one pocket, from the carrots in the other, and that's how she balances her accounts. Just to give you an idea. So the literacy level is quite low, Olivia.
Yeah, and I think from what you've told us, Susan, we can see that the lives of many of the women living in these villages is very, very difficult. It's physically and emotionally demanding, but also that there is that innovation and entrepreneurship, because it takes a lot of creativity to think of that solution when you can't read or write, of finding a way that works with the skills that you have to be able to keep your accounts. So thank you, Susan, for sharing some insights into that and why this project was so necessary. So Elizabeth, you
Yes.
saw the need. You come from one of the villages that the project has gone to, that Mwangaza has operated in, and you saw that this project was something that you wanted to join. And I think that you were also invited lots of your friends to join the project later on. So can you tell us a little bit about why, when you heard about the project, you thought, yes, this is definitely something I want to join? And, what made it useful for you?
Thank you for the opportunity. Personally, I'm very, very ambitious. And in fact, we had the announcement in church. I, being the secretary of a small Christian community, I went and tabled that the Kianda Foundation were looking for trainees to be taught business skills and the cooking skills. And the women there were a bit reluctant. So out of my ambitious nature, I said, I am going to start with myself. And in fact, I wrote my name down. So all the women came following, and we had a good number. So coming Sunday, when the church announced that my small Christian community had some people who wanted to be trained, all the other small Christian communities followed suit, and we got a good number.
That's amazing. And Elizabeth, I mean, what made you think that this program, learning business skills, was something that you needed yourself? Because already you had skills, you were already trained as an early years educator, and yet you saw that this was something that was important for you to transform your life.
Thank you. I found it important because I realized that I had some shortcomings as far as business was concerned, because I could not separate home account and the business account. And then again, I was not able to keep proper records as far as the business was concerned. So I was looking forward to be informed how I should separate the home account and the business account, how to keep records, how to realize how I am making profit or loss and such. So I desperately required the knowledge.
Amazing. And for many of the women who you invited to join this program, I think their level of education was less than yours. So what did you think? How did you think the program was important for them? And what was the hope that you had for them in joining this program?
Thank you. I, being an ECD teacher, and in the village, we are highly valued because when there is an issue that we come at crossroads, teachers are always invited for their input. So when they look up at me saying yes, they will always think that thing is valid. So I would not mind them being or them getting the help through me. So I would sacrifice my time, my energy for them. Yeah.
And did many of them already have small businesses before they started? Or what was their financial situation like before they started the program?
Okay, majority of them, they were having some businesses, though the businesses were quite small. And out of the business being very small, it would eventually go down because that is where they were getting the, let's say, rent, food, and such. So eventually it would die. Then again, they would get some ritual money, then they start up. There were no records and such.
So although they had small businesses, in reality, these businesses were often losing money, or they ended up in bad circumstances and their business just stopped.
Yes.
Okay. So it was very difficult for many of them before they started the program.
Yes.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing your insights.
Thank you.
And now I would like to ask Cecilia, because you also joined the project.
Yes.
You were in a very difficult situation when you started the project. So when you started and you heard about the project, it must have been quite difficult for you to really commit to it and to really ensure that you were learning when you were coming to those classes. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, thank you. To talk the fact, when I started those classes, I was given that report by another woman. I was not attending even a church. I could not be there in the church. So that woman tell me, instead of staying here and you are doing nothing, can we go to church? And I asked that woman, to do what? She told me there is a class going on there for business, and there is a lot of things you are going to learn. So, because she told me twice to go there, I go there for the sake of, I was just finding a company. I was carrying my baby at my back. So when I go there, I sit at the back of the church. I was not writing anything. I was not concentrating with anything. Me, I was just looking the ones who are teaching there. When I saw them, they are well up. And the way I'm down, I couldn't learn anything there. And I thank God. One day, there is one who was giving us about the information, why you are not writing, where is your ballpen? And she asked me, Cecilia, why are you not writing? I asked him, what do you want me to write? Then I'm writing about what? She asked me, you come to this class to read. I'm cutting it with my head. So she moved on. That was my first day. I attended the second class. The first class I didn't attend. That is the second class. The third class I come very early in the morning with my child. Me, I just finding somewhere to sit, and there is people, so I listen to this one and that one, but I'm not benefiting about anything. The second class I attend. There is another, the same woman came to me. So I understand this woman, she's coming to me each and every time because she know my problems. So she asked me, Cecilia, think today you are not writing. I tell him, please leave me alone. What is your problem with me? Can you write instead of me? Then she go. That class, I didn't come to an end of that class. I go away home. The fourth class, this is how now I come to understand there is something which is there. It's still going on about business. The same person came to me. Can I give you a paper, you write something? But to talk the truth, I was not having even a single cent, a single shillings to buy even a ball pen or a book to write. She asked me, can I give you a ball pen? Yes, and still give me a paper. She gave me a paper. She moved where train was. She asked train, can you give me that ball pen? I want to help another person with it. She gave a ball pen. I wrote only one sentence. I didn't write two, only one. And that class said that. So I go and I leave. But when I'm coming to that class, I was seeing these people, they are well. Me, I'm down. But I cannot join them well. But one day, there was a woman there who was reading a Bible. And she said, when you are very down, remember God will remove those problems to you and give you a new life. I didn't concentrate with that woman because those are nonsense. She's talking. The way I am, I can't make it. But I thank God because Kianda Foundation had made me the little Cecilia now. Now I can bathe myself. Those days I cannot take a bath. I don't change the trouser. I take another one without a bath. And I didn't wear those black trousers nowadays. You can see I have a white.
You look very elegant, Cecilia.
Now I'm a new Cecilia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Cecilia, because we've all seen the transformation in you, and we are all so inspired by your perseverance, even though your circumstances at the beginning were really so overwhelming. So thank you very much. So Tiren, you accompanied Cecilia through those early classes. Can you tell us a little bit about why the mentoring was such an important element of this project? Because we saw that there were women like Cecilia who really needed a helping hand to improve their economic situations, to be able to have a good income for themselves and for their families. And we also saw that simply teaching skills when people's circumstances are so difficult wasn't enough. So can you tell us a little bit, please, about the mentoring, what it is, how it was introduced, and what you learnt from that?
Yeah. Absolutely, Olivia. Thank you very much. As you heard from the testimony of Cecilia, she represents hundreds of women we dealt with. Business skills can be given by anybody, and many organizations have given it, and even some of our ladies had even gone for some of these trainings with other organizations. But as we interacted with the women, we realized, just like Cecilia said, she's sitting there, but there's nothing that is entering because there's a lot of stress. For some of the women, there's trauma. They've gone through domestic violence. They don't know whether their kids are going to eat at the end of the day. So it was necessary to look for something else besides just imparting skills, so that these women are at another level, that they can even use those skills to better their lives. And that's why we thought about mentoring. It was there informally before, but with the Mwangaza project, we had the opportunity of introducing the Empath Mobility Mentoring tool. And what is that? It's an evidence-based approach that helps individuals and families to achieve better outcomes in terms of their economic capabilities. But more than that, what we were so attracted to with this particular mentoring tool is the fact that it counts on brain science. And just basically, it's one of the things that comes out clearly is that for as long as a person is stressed, then they have difficulty in making decisions. I'm trying to make this woman make a decision, probably to start a business, to improve her business. But because of stress, she will not make that decision. So that's why we took up this tool, which also we realized it is anchored on 5 pillars: housing, family, the women's personal well-being, their financial management capacity, their earning capacity, education attainment. So we loved it because it was holistic, that we are addressing the woman in totality, all the things that are affecting her. And we actually put it into a pilot phase with the first 2 villages. And then we realized, okay, this is from an American context. There are a number of things that are not working. So we decided to adapt it to the context, and we modified it a little bit, and we settled on 3 pillars, and that's the family pillar, personal well-being, which has the physical, mental, social, and the spiritual well-being, which is important in this part of the world, and then the financial element. And then we took the women through training to understand what mentoring is all about across those pillars that I have actually mentioned. And then with that, you realize women started talking about their deep issues. We went even further and created mutual support groups, which we called mentoring groups, because here we have what we call the chama, these are locally established women groups where women come together to save together. But then we use that model, which is very popular here in Kenya, to also establish the mentoring groups with the women we were training. And I think it was mind-blowing after that, because after that, we allowed the women to elect who their mentors are. We did not get mentors from outside. They elected mentors from amongst themselves. And we trained these mentors again on the skill sets of how to manage the women long after the program is over. So this has helped us a lot in the sense that women found a safe space to self-reflect, to resolve their problems together. So besides just having one-on-one mentoring, we had group mentoring as a result of this particular model. And we established 58 such groups for the 601 women. And courtesy of that, and we'll discuss this a little bit later, as women talked in these mentoring groups, then we saw the issue of the mental health, and counseling came at a later stage. So yeah, that's how we started off the mentoring process with the Mwangaza project.
Thank you so much, Tiren. And then moving to Elizabeth, because Elizabeth, you were elected as one of those mentors. This was obviously a big responsibility that you were, in this position of leadership with the care of so many women's lives. Can you tell us a bit about what it was like to be a mentor and how you helped the women in your group?
Thank you. As at now, I can comfortably say that mentorship is one of the greatest achievements I have achieved in the course of the near future, because it has made me the way I am. Before being a mentor, I also had my own issues, but I did not know how to handle them. But now, after being a mentor, I did not see the need of being a mentor until we were elected, whereby the mentees came in large numbers, whereby they wanted to share their problems. They wanted to tell you, I'm encountering this, how should I go about it, and so on and so forth. It was only after that we formed a group with the other mentors, and we would mentor each other, and also we would share about our mentees' issues, and of course maintaining a lot of confidentiality, where we would not mention the name of the client. And the mentors would brainstorm, and they give you a lot of ideas on how you would handle your mentees' problems. Alongside that, with the mentors chama, we are able to contribute some money, and we are initially we started as a merry-go-round. Now that after some time we agreed now we should start to save, and I'm happy that the savings from the mentors group, they made me have an amazing holiday with my family in Namanga during the festive. I'm so happy about that. However, the mentorship, I would not like to forget to say, once we were elected the mentors, sometimes the mentors would come with some challenging questions that we would not have answers for. So it would be very, very challenging for us. So when I was doing some of my rounds, I attended a certain workshop, and I found some people who were advertising that they were offering the counseling course, and of course at a reasonable fee. So I came and I talked to Madam Susan with the other trainers, and they accepted to pay for us the counseling course, and we did it for 6 months. So out of the many women in Kamiridho, we have like approximately 10 mentors who are professional counselors. We have a certificate, and we are helping women in the village, women in our workplaces, and even in the community at large. So I'm happy, very, very happy about it. And alongside that, the mentorship, it has also helped to build myself. Personally, I am a reformed Elizabeth, actually. I have gained experience on how to take care and love myself. In fact, I was sharing an experience where I used to have haircuts, probably for 20 shillings. Nowadays, I am able to do my hair. I'm sure you can. And it is not cheap. It is not cheap. I wish you can see how smart I am. My shoes are matching my necklaces, my earrings. I am smart. I am me. And it is not only external, but even I'm very, very proud of myself. At least I have realized my potential. I've realized my capabilities. I cannot be able to help the other person if I am not contented about myself. So I have learned about the self-care skills. I must love myself first so that I be able to help the other people. I'm so, so happy about the mentorship. I'm very, very happy. A lot of people are coming to me and I am sharing what I know using the counseling training that you are offered. God bless you people and may you continue doing that.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And you do look
Something I've
beautiful.
forgotten. Something I've forgotten. From my own perspective, I don't know what would have happened to me if I never attended the course. I lost my son last year, April, through his trip. And in fact, it was very, very traumatizing. But out of the counseling skills that I learned, I was able to handle the grief with ease, and it did not affect me very, very much as I would have expected if I was not trained. So I am happy, very happy that I went to training. I am very, very happy and grateful.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And of course, we're very sorry about your loss. I think what brought you to understand the need for mental health training for yourself so that you could help the women was how often they were facing traumas and tragedies themselves and how this was affecting their outlook and even affecting their physical health. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, about the challenges that the women in your group face without, of course, betraying any confidentiality?
Thank you. Now, women are really facing a lot of challenges. For example, we have women who are undergoing marital challenges, business problems, drugs and substance abuse, domestic violence, financial problems, and such. And you realize that all these women, they come to you and maybe some will ask you, how will I make it? What should I do? What have you done? So sometimes now that we are equipped with the right information, we are able to guide them. We are able to help them identify themselves, to help them identify their capabilities, especially we help them to make plans. And we are seeing it work, and we are looking at all the ways. Personally, I am an entrepreneur. I sell such necklaces and the earrings. I wish you were near, you would have promoted my business. I am also selling bags. And as we speak, I have one of my clients. I have given her some of the bags to go and sell, and then we share the profit. So I think we are on the right track.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing all of those things.
Yeah.
And of course, for all of the work you continue to do to help the women in your group and other women in your village with the skills that you now have as a mentor and a counselor. Tiren, I wanted to ask you a bit more about this because obviously you've put a huge amount of thought into the impact of the counselling training and how it has helped this project to be more impactful. Can you tell us a bit more about that, please?
Okay. I think even maybe a little bit, even to put to time what Elizabeth is saying. Of course, they've mentioned that eventually it was obvious we had to introduce counseling, and how we actually did it is we gave a life skills session, and I think that's when I call it Pandora's box opened, and quite a number of things came out. And as the ladies have mentioned, it was obvious mental health was critical for us. And we got students from a university here called Mwangaza University. Susan was in touch with one of them, and she came over, gave mental health care sessions, and that's when we realized we need more counselors coming on the ground. So she mobilized some of her classmates, final year students of the degree program, and they came on board, and we started sessions, psychoeducation, individual session, therapy sessions, and group therapy sessions. And eventually this was institutionalized in the sense that Kianda Foundation entered into a memorandum of understanding with Mwangaza University so that their final year students could have opportunities to come and help out on a voluntary basis. And honestly, we've seen amazing results. Like people who are walking dead are now alive, making very bold decisions. In fact, Susan will attest to it. Even we ourselves who were involved in the project, I think we've learned a lot from the women. So you find a woman was totally helpless, and now she's giving you solutions even to your own problems, even how to manage your finances. And you're the one who came to resolve the problem. So even before we had this webinar, these two ladies gave us a pep talk with Susan. So we were just gaping about how to manage our finances. So we see a lot. It's like the brains just opened, and they're able to resolve those problems without us intervening. They find solutions to their problems without you even giving them any piece of advice. Homes are now standing. So homes that were totally dysfunctional have found, there's hope. And as long as women also feel stable in their homes, they can think. So Cecilia, who is sitting here, will tell you later that she started one business, now she has 4 businesses. So I don't have 4 businesses at the end of the day. So then in plus, I think we had low dropout rates in the process because women are now present. They're absorbing what is going on. And then the most impactful thing I saw when I was also doing the evaluations, is the fact that the women were going to teach other women who were not in the program. So you find, and then there's a spirit of abundance, because like there's one lady, I'll never forget, she sells curios along the escarpment, not too far from where we are. And she took it upon herself to educate all the other curio traders how to do record keeping and so on. And you think, I wouldn't teach another person because that person is going to be my business rival. But she was very benevolent and taught the other traders what had happened. They had better businesses. They attracted more customers. So the inflow of customers was huge. And as we speak, that woman is even currently building her own house out of the revenue that she's actually getting. So I think for us, the impact was enormous in the sense that, yes, and Susan will attest to this, women were starting businesses before expanding their businesses. But I think there's been an exponential growth courtesy of these interventions of counseling, because the brain is finally free to be creative, to think, to resolve the problems that hinder the women from actually establishing what is their pathway to economic independence.
Thank you, Tiren. And Susan, you've seen your project, your baby, grow through Mwangaza, and that it has become even more impactful than it was before. And you're continuing, after Mwangaza has finished, you're continuing to deliver the project in new villages for new women, but using that learning, incorporating the mental health support, the mentoring that was developed as part of our collaboration together. So can you tell me, for someone else who wanted to start a similar project in Kenya, what are the things that you think they should think about? And what are the elements that you think are so important for them to include in a project?
Yes, thank you very much, Olivia, for that question. In fact, it always feels like the baby is growing, and the mother gets very happy about it. You're always happy to see that what you do is producing fruit. And I'm really, really proud of all the beneficiaries and of all the for the donors, the support we have received from all of you. We are very grateful, and to, of course, my colleagues. What I'd say, skills, as Tirena had said earlier, anyone can teach the skills. But what really makes the difference is the consistency, the follow-up, because this program takes 6 months, and we go to the field on a weekly basis, at first more regularly, visiting the women in their places of work, seeing them and becoming their friends. It's not just about giving them information and feeling I'm the trainer here and you are like basically below me. What I would say, this consistent follow-up, the counseling skills, the mentorship, listening to them when they have their personal issues, you're there to hear them out. They can call you and share an exciting moment they've had in their business or a challenge they're facing, really being there. In addition, we have the workshops where we invite them once every 6 months or more regularly if they need be, to just hear them out. They share their knowledge, they share the challenges and come up with solutions. What I'd say, anyone doing an economic empowerment program or any program for that matter needs to have this component of counseling and mentorship, because it makes the whole difference. So for us, this is it, and we'll continue doing it. And thank you very much for making this possible through the Mwangaza project.
Thank you so much, Susan. So I know that between us, everyone has so much more to say and to share. But for now, I think we will stop our contributions, our planned contributions, and we'll take your questions. So please do ask questions if you have any. We have quite a lot of notes in the chat. So thank you so much, Marimi, for all of your questions. I am just looking through. I'm curious to know if the relatively low formal education among the women and resource demands at home were related to gender-based violence. So I think we can start from saying that many women, I mean, they had a low level of education. They hadn't attended much primary school, although others like you, Elizabeth, had done a lot of learning. But would you say, maybe Elizabeth, this is a great question for you, that things like domestic violence were preventing the women from engaging with the training before, or preventing them from continuing their education in ways that would improve their economic life?
Thank you. Domestic violence is real, and many women are suffering in it. From my own perspective, I realized most of the domestic violence comes from financial problems. And I believe, and I am encouraging a lot of women, that they should be able to do the work that is available to get an extra coin. And once they get their own money, then they can be able to support their family. Otherwise, they stop being very reliant on their husbands or their spouses, because that is where the violence is coming from. So as much as I'm talking to women, I'm trying to encourage them to be able to stand on their own 2 feet, do the work that is available to sustain their families and themselves.
Thank you so much for that, Elizabeth. We have some more questions. So we have a question here about our plans to expand this program. So Susan, you are continuing to deliver the project in other villages. Can you tell us a bit more about your plans for that?
Yes, so we continue doing it. In fact, currently we are in 2 villages. We are doing one in the Dagoretti, Kawangware area, and we've started Kangemi. And we look forward to continuing doing this program, because personally, I'm convinced, because we've done this for the last 22 years. I've seen the results. I know this is the solution. In addition, we are now, in order to multiply this faster, we have a program which is running where we are training women who would like to do this in their own villages, wherever they are, what we call upcountry, in the countryside. And there's that program. You can reach out and we let you know if you're living nearby, if you're in Kenya, so that we multiply this, because people keep asking, where can't you come to our place? Then we say, okay, let's give you the skills, then you are able to do this. So it's really a great thing. Olivia, just going back to the question you had asked earlier regarding gender-based violence, it's real, because in the group of Kasarani 2023 of the Mwangaza, we actually lost a beneficiary to the gender-based violence. So it's something really close to our hearts. So we try and let the beneficiaries know to be aware when the abuse is to an extent they cannot continue handling, which is a risk to themselves or their children. Yeah, to know when to say, no, I can't take this anymore. So this is real, and it's not just imaginary. We've seen it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Susan, very much for that. And yeah, there was a very, very sad time for all of you to have lost someone who you were so close to. In terms of also the learning from this project and scaling it in other ways, Wonder is working with partners in a number of countries, 7 countries, I think 8 countries in Africa. And we've taken learning ourselves from that into business skills programs in the Ivory Coast in particular. And we're hoping to share it in other places, this amazing learning that we have from Kenya. As well as into Western Kenya, which is a project we're very excited to develop, and where the cultural realities are quite different. And Tiren is leading our work on that. We've got another question here saying, could you please give some details on the elements of the business training? So Susan, maybe if you can just tell us, what are like those key components within the business training of the skills curriculum? Because we've spoken so much about how everything complements the skills curriculum and makes it work so that women can really take it on board. But what's in that skills curriculum?
Yes. Okay. One of the things which is there is record keeping, because many of them don't know how to keep records. Business skills like financial management, literacy skills, like, in fact, is this business making a profit, or is it a loss, or what is it? Another thing we put there is time management, because many people, as you say, in Africa, we are never in a hurry, but now they've learned, like Cecilia is always telling me, time is of essence. You have to tell me in advance about everything. Anyway, so that's another area. Then we help them write a business plan, marketing, because people don't talk about their businesses. So they talk about everything else in the chamas, but they don't talk about their businesses. What is the other thing we have here? So it's a comprehensive business program, which we have improved over the years, and now we have a whole curriculum there, and really it's great. But of course, what we entice them so that they come for the training, because they don't believe in the business skills training, is we tell them there's a cookery class. So that's what they come for, the cookery class. We always say that we'll teach you business skills, but they never hear that. What they hear is, I'm coming for cookery skills. So then we give that, and that also improves their cookery skills at home, better meals using whatever is available. So it's a comprehensive training, and it has been very, very effective. Yeah.
Yeah, and very, very delicious food.
And savings, and how to take loans at a reasonable interest rate, because some of them take loans which are very expensive, mobile phone loans. And so we train them how to know how much is the interest, and why am I taking this loan? How am I going to use it? Yeah. So that's the thing. Yeah.
And I think it's important to note that it's very easy to get loans, I think, in Kenya, but it's very hard to get out of them sometimes. And it really can be very difficult for women who've taken out loans without realizing the consequences of those things, or being tripped up in other ways. Cecilia, going to you, and the skills that you learned and your new love of timekeeping, What skills did you learn from that program that was so useful for you?
Okay, thank you. Business management, it's helped me a lot. And it's made me a new Cecilia, not the old Cecilia. Now it's a new Cecilia who know how to manage his time and his property and also her family. And I love that.
You love that. And I think
Yeah.
that's such an important thing, actually, that's come out of the project, is that women feel their well-being really improves when you can balance your time clearly between the time to make money and the time to enjoy life and spend time with your family and do your other jobs at home. Would you say that you and also your friends in the project have really seen how that balance has helped you?
Okay, thank you. In everything, you have to manage time. Time is the most important thing because you have to manage about your family. And that is the first priority I put in my life. My family is very, very important. After finishing my family, I come to my business. I start with my poultry. Next is pigs. Third, I go to my bags. In the afternoon, now I'm very tired. That's where I'm going to look for my cabbages. And that time at 6 in the evening, I start about what I'm going to cook for my family and how are they going to wash themselves. Now I have time to wash, not the Cecilia. So you have to manage time to have all these things. And I thank Kianda Foundation for that because I'm a new Cecilia now.
You're a new Cecilia. So you started, your first business was making bags.
Yeah.
And you already before had skills in sewing. So now you also have poultry.
Yeah.
You have cabbages and you're also doing beadwork.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And pigs, not
pigs.
Pigs.
Sorry. Pigs, not bees.
Yeah.
You are you are really have so many businesses now, Cecilia. It's amazing.
That is what I learned from Kianda.
That's really wonderful. Yeah. Okay. What advice, this is one for you, Teren, what advice would you give to others wanting to replicate a similar initiative in their community?
Okay.
That's a nice one. First of all, I think one of the advice I would give is when you're starting to do this kind of project, don't look at, okay, I'm going to run this program, teach women business skills so that they can run their businesses. Look at the person holistically, because I think for us, that has been the biggest game changer. Look at this person holistically and understand what are their needs. What is going to propel them or what is blocking them from even making any change in their personal lives and in their family lives and in the community setup. So that's the number one thing I would say. Just look at this person holistically. It's not just one skill set. Number two, one of the things I think that has worked a lot with us, listen to your beneficiaries. Instead of just coming up with a product and says, you know what, I've seen this is what you people need. You come to my project. This is a promise that I am making if you attend this. What we've learned a lot when working with Susan, and I think within this Mwangaza project, we've done a lot of iterations for many things. Why? Because we need to listen to Cecilia, need to listen to Elizabeth and understand what's working and what's not working. So create products based on what the people have told you, not what you think at the end of it all. And then the other thing is that I think the third thing I can say based on this experience that we've had, we started the counseling initially with no financial resources and not even human resources. Look around within your networks because you'd be surprised. Ask people to offer their skills because that's how we started off. The mentoring and the counseling. use this professional resource, and you'll be surprised. At least in our setup, I think people love volunteering to help. So not to be frustrated thinking, oh, I don't have money, so I can't do this. Look at the resources and ask who is willing to help me. I think the Western projects that we are now currently working on have just started because of people who just want to volunteer to help. Those are the three main things I've learned from this particular project.
Thank you, Taran. And of course, volunteering is easier in more urban areas, I think, than in deep rural areas. But certainly that has been amazing how many people have been very, very generous to help this project. And returning to Elizabeth and to Susan, one of these questions has been about what is the spillover effect for the families of the women who've been in this project. So we've seen with Cecilia, she's now employed her son, she's employing other people, that's her goal. So her own family has very much benefited from her participation. But Elizabeth, in the women that you have mentored, what has been the impact on their families of this project?
Thank you. Out of the beneficiaries of this project, women have really been empowered. At least I have realized there is a very great change. There is a great difference that can be noted between the women who we went to training with and the ones who did not. What I really appreciate is that women who got the training, they really have an identity. They really they have learned to identify themselves. They have been able to recognize their potentials, and they are doing everything possible to stabilize their lives. So the training has really helped us in that, number one, I am capable of doing all it entails so that I make my life comfortable without looking for some assistance. I am capable of doing it with myself, myself, and I can be able to do it and I can make it. Personally, I am Elizabeth. I have been able to do it myself. I was sharing with these beautiful ladies that this evening I'll be driving myself home to a house that I have constructed myself single-handedly. I bought the plot, I constructed the house. Now I am comfortable. I am ready for retire now.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And well done. Congratulations, Elizabeth. And Susan, just turning to you because you have some amazing stories of how women, their families have changed. We've seen husbands so proud of their wives. We have seen children and family relationships transformed. Can you give us in this last minute an example?
Yeah, I know of women who have started the business and their husband has joined them. A person who crosses my mind right now is Jane, who opened a hospital, a level 5 hospital, which has 2 theaters, and her husband works with her, supports her, and that the son too is the one in charge of IT in the same hospital. Children can eat better. They can go to hospital thanks to the mother. There's a lot of respect and peace at home because, as Elizabeth was saying earlier, sometimes the fighting come, the differences in the family come as a result of lack of finances. So the women respect themselves, and so they command respect and they carry themselves well. So I really say the way forward is the equivalent of Mwangaza, and we are really, really happy and grateful. Long live this program. Asanteni sana.
And asante sana to you as well. Thank you all very, very much for sharing your stories, for sharing your insights. Thank you to everybody who has joined us and given up your lunch break to celebrate with us in this webinar. And we will be in touch and hopefully be able to answer your questions going forward, please drop me an email. I will send you an email after this if you have more questions and would like to have more insights. So thank you all very, very much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.